everybody, and welcome to the show from, as you can see, my mobile office. But hey, we're still going to get it in. Today, I have a very interesting guest with me today. It's someone where we have actually known each other for quite some time, and it's amazing. Like, we've never officially done a show together. We met through a mutual friend of ours who has since then passed. Um, but she was a wonderful woman, amazing woman, and I met him through her. And this gentleman he's not just an entrepreneur. He is a mentor. He is a coach. He is a businessman. He is absolutely phenomenal. So I hope that you guys enjoy this show today. I'm gonna just tell you a little bit about him. He was born and raised in Tampa, Florida. He spent most of his life growing up in the Belmont Heights area of Tampa. For those who know about Florida, uh, in 1980, he graduated from high school in Tempe Terrace, Florida, which is right down the street from where I used to live. Ha 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 ha. And then following that, he enlisted into the United States Air Force. He has a Bachelor's of Science degree in Computer Information Systems, and then he also has a Master's of Administration degree in Criminal Justice Administration. He is absolutely phenomenal, and I hope you guys soak in like the wealth of information that this young man is going to give to us today. So, without further ado, please welcome to the show Mr. Gerald C. Anderson Sr. Hello there.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing?
Doing well, doing well. I tell you what, this interview is a long time in the making because we have spoken together throughout the years that we've known each other, and just it's like our paths will always cross, but we never really like connected to be able to do a show together. So I'm like super stoked. Except
Right.
for when he featured me in his magazine, you guys. Yes, I
Yeah.
forgot to mention that. He also has his own magazine, the Life magazine. So if you have not gotten hold of his magazine, those will be included on today's show. I will make sure I have those links so you can get to it. He has very phenomenal guests that he interviews on his show. So welcome, Gerald. I'm so glad to have you today. And we are going to, here's the thing about you. You do so much, like I have to narrow down what you do because you do so much. So let's start with the magazine,
Okay.
the Life magazine. How long has the magazine been um, established, and how did it start? How did you conceptualize that this was something that you wanted to do? How was it? What was it birthed from?
Okay. Well, magazine publishing was something I always had in my mind that I wanted to do. Since I was a young man, I always wanted to do a periodical. So it's always been in my mind. But it wasn't until almost 6 years ago now, that I got the opportunity to get him to start a magazine. So what happened was my cousin had this magazine, the Life magazine, and he was doing it down in Florida, and he didn't want to do it any longer. So he sold the rights to the magazine to me. So I purchased it, and about 6 years ago, right now, it was about 6 years ago. And then we produced our first issue in January of 2017. So it was a lifestyle magazine from him, but I kind of morphed it into a Christian lifestyle magazine to basically feature positive media. We wanted everything in the magazine to be positive. So from the time you flip the first page all the way through the end page, we wanted you to feel good, motivated, inspired, and nothing negative about the whatever you read in our magazine. So
Yeah.
and we've been able to keep that course, despite some ups and downs. And I know we were talking before the show about having to do things to keep it running, and that's what we basically had to do throughout the years. But I'm pretty proud of the fact that in January it will be 6 years that we have had this magazine going. And people, I get good feedback from it that people really like the stories, they like the issues that
Yeah.
that we produced, and we're getting, like you say, we're getting good people that are actually coming to us now that want to
Mm.
be on the cover. So it's, the covers are like filling up fast,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we produce the magazine 4 times a year, winter, spring, summer, and fall. And we also have two special issues, one for the first half of the year, one for the second half of the year. So all in all, we produce 6 printed issues a year.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
then the most recent one just came out this month. This is the fall issue of 2022. It just came out. So with Felton Pilot on the cover, he used to be in Confunction. And well, actually, I think he's still in Confunction, but he's one of the members of the group of Confunction. So
Wow. Wow.
yeah,
Like I said, you guys, if you guys have not gotten a hold of this magazine, um, there's a lot of influential people that are on the magazine. And I think what I love about it too is that it's not just anyone. Like you said, it's positive. It really speaks to people. It really gives them behind the scenes of what people are doing, as well as what they're doing now, what motivates them, what drives them, what inspires them, and it's a great wealth of information, you guys. Can't say enough about that. And
yeah.
if you like that, then you're gonna love his books. And I put an S on that because there's a lot of books. So let's start with, how long have you been professionally writing?
2010, I produced my first book. So that was an experience when I published that book. Yeah, I don't know if you ever heard of Prince's Black Album.
No. Oh,
Okay, so
yes. I'm sorry. Yes.
okay, so the Black Album was something he just put out just to fulfill his Warner Brothers contract,
Right.
and so he just put
Right.
anything out and put it on that album and put it out. So I kind of count my first book as my Black Album because I spent 2 years writing this book, and I got into a deal. I signed a contract. I got to take the blame myself because I should have read the contract thoroughly. And I didn't because I was excited. First
Right.
book, my
Right.
book was being published. I was excited about it. Signed the contract, got the book published. So 2 years of my hard-earned work, and they get 80% of the royalties on that book sale, and I can't even
Yes.
buy the books at a wholesale price to sell the books. So I basically don't make any money off that book. And so I never publicize it. I never I talk about it only to tell that story, to stop
Yeah.
other people from getting in that kind of a situation too.
Yeah.
But so that was the thing that started. But it all started when I was at the University of Cincinnati, in the master's degree program. You spend 18 months in this program, and it's a lot of writing, academic writing. And then the last course you come to, you spend the whole semester writing this one paper. So,
Right.
so it was a lot of writing. So to sum it up, if you've never been in a master's program, if you ever been in a master's program, you know that it's a lot of writing. So after that was done, I sat back and said, "Whew, glad that's over." So I wanted to do some fun writing, something for myself, take my creativity out, and that's what started the first book, We Come in Peace. And it took me 2 years to get through that process, then because I was basically learning at the same time. And I tell people, if you actually went back and read We Come in Peace, and you read the newest book, Fatal Misperceptions, you will see a drastic difference in my style. And that's because it's evolved over the course of 23 published books. So, yeah.
Yes. And the thing about We Come in Peace is actually out of stock now. Well, through
Oh,
your website, yeah, it's out of stock.
oh yeah, on my website, yeah, I mark it as out of stock because I don't sell it. you
Yeah.
know, I
Yeah.
don't
But
sell it.
but that's not a bad thing. It's like, okay, you built the book, it went forth and it did what it was supposed to do. So that's not necessarily a bad thing, to be out of stock. But like you said, over the course of your writing, you know, it's a good thing to evolve. Like we should always be evolving. Um, One of the books that I kind of met you through, I would say, is when we were at the event with Mr. Cole Marchman, and you were working on a book called Standing Firm, or you
Yeah.
were getting ready to work on the book called Standing Firm. But you had also had it in mind at that time that you wanted to turn it into a movie. So you were working kind of on a dual level because you had the book and then you wanted the movie, and but you had like a lot of wheels and a lot of gears turning at that time. Talk to the audience about that book, Standing Firm, and how it evolved and how that came about, because that's, again, a lot of good stuff in that.
Well, Standing Firm is a very, very interesting story. You know, it was my best selling book. It continues to be my best selling book, although
Mm-hmm.
Fatal Misperceptions is pushing it right now. But Standing Firm is currently my biggest selling book, and but it was funny because it's a book about domestic violence and a family of sisters who when one of the sisters get involved in domestic violence, but it didn't start that way. You know,
Mm.
the first version of Standing Firm was actually about three models who were friends, and they were trying to, you know, get higher up into the modeling world, and they had to go through this one guy who controlled the whole business in their town. And of course, you had the two models who didn't want to go through him because they know what he was about, but the one
Mm-hmm.
model was willing to take that chance because she wanted to be successful. So that didn't go because I had some issues with the actual models who were going to be on the cover. So
Mm.
we had some problems with them, and so I ended up two of them ended up not being on the cover. So I had to replace those two. So when I started to do that, I decided I'm going to change the entire book. So I threw that entire book out and never published it, never did anything with it. Rewrote the whole book to what we know today as Standing Firm. You know, and it was funny because I wanted three models on the cover because it was supposed to be three sisters, and I only had two models, and I was like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna get the third model. I'm gonna build this. You know, 2 days before the photo shoot, I finally got the third model. So it was like right up against the wire. She had to scramble around to find the red dress. You know, she had a friend who had a red dress, so she should go meet that person, get the
Mm.
dress, get to this photo shoot and stuff. And so it was just like, okay, God would say, I'm gonna test you, but I'm gonna give you that third person. And that
Yeah.
third person, you
Yeah.
know, has, you know, she continues to be one of my best friends today. You know, but she got on that cover, you know, the book was done, the cover was done, the book was done, and May of 2015 we
Mm-hmm.
finally got it published and out there. And soon as it hit, it just started taking off. People just started
Yeah.
buying it and downloading it, and was getting really good feedback on it. And you know, we had people who wanted to help me make it into the movie, like you said. And we had people who we also almost did a stage play, but we couldn't make that work. So we just decided to not do the stage play and just do the movie. And
That would have been great, though. I just to say, stage play would have been great, and it's not too late. Just
yeah,
throwing it out there.
yeah. But I mean, I met so many people in 2015, 2016 from Standing Firm, but one of the most moving experiences I had because of Standing Firm was the opportunity that Nicole got brought to me. Was she had me go to a shelter that they knew about and introduced me to the people at the shelter, and I ended up
Mm-hmm.
having the opportunity to speak to the ladies who had been in domestic violence situations and were now living in that shelter. And so they were very moved at the fact that I was doing this, that I had taken this as my platform as a man and bringing awareness to domestic violence. And that was just before the launch party that I was having in Tampa. So I was able to secure a bus, get the ladies on the bus, and get them to the launch party. So they got out of
Mm.
the shelter for a night, and they had a really good time. You know, so that's
Amen.
the most moving thing that I think happened to me during that whole tour. You know, was
Yeah.
being able to do that for those ladies, and so that was Standing Firm, the novel. Then in 2016, Standing Firm, the movie came out. So, and that was a real learning experience, putting all of that together, getting the script written, getting the actors, and getting the people to film it and everything. We unfortunately we lost our sound guy doing the
Wow.
film of it. He committed suicide, from what I understood. So, we had to overcome that, and so eventually I just put the movie on YouTube. And when it got on YouTube, it blew up.
Yeah, yeah.
It got to 500,000 views before I even knew it. I was like so shocked at how many views this thing got.
And the numbers are still climbing.
Yeah.
Like if you look on YouTube today, you guys, like the numbers are still going. If you have not had a chance to watch it, just know that's a way for you to watch it. All right, just hop on into YouTube and just go ahead and watch it because it's great.
Yeah. So that was another dream. I guess people call them bucket lists in your lifetime.
Yeah.
That was one of my bucket list items, was to make a movie, and I made that movie, and so I'm pretty proud of the movie. Because it was a lot of work to get it done, though. So but I'm really proud of that, and that whole Standing Firm project. And that book is still selling today, and people are still downloading it today. And October is the month that we're in. We're filming this right now is October, and so that's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So it's always comes back to people's memory this time of the year too. So yeah.
Oh, so several questions. You mentioned that there was a young man who committed suicide during the making of that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Were you guys aware? Was there something that he was going through, or did it blindside you guys completely that anything was even wrong with him?
Well, I didn't know the young man, so I don't think I ever met him. So I don't know that for sure, though. But so he was friends of other people that was involved in the project. So I only found out after the fact that so I can't really speak to that. So yeah, because I don't think I ever met him. I don't honestly think I ever met him. So
okay.
Yeah.
So after that project, because probably I would think to date, Standing Firm was probably one of your biggest projects, I would say. And again, I think it's because it was a duality in it. You had the book and then into the movie. So again, a lot of moving parts, a lot of things that you were doing, a lot of meetings, a lot of people, a lot of collaborating. Like to date, I would say that that's probably like your biggest project that you worked on.
Yeah, it is.
But then
The biggest one.
kept rolling. Yeah, then from that point it just kept rolling. It kept rolling. So with all the books that you have out now, and I want to give you a chance to kind of talk to each of them. Did you already have like conceptualized what you wanted to write about? To whereas because every time I looked up, you had a new book coming out. Like some people was like, all right, I have a book. In another 2 years they bring out another book. It wasn't like that for you. Like from the time that I've known you, it's been all right, book, oh, new book, oh, new book, oh, new book, and now 23 later, I'm like, oh wow. So did you already like have conceptions of what you wanted to write, and it was just bringing the story to life, or did you already have like some of them pre-written, and then as your writing style evolved, you went back and tweaked certain things?
Well, actually, I met you at book 3, which was Standing Firm. That was book 3. Okay. So we're at 23. So
I've been wow
since we met. But I go back, and you're probably going to realize that Prince is my favorite musician. I go back to Prince, because Prince said that that he kept a recorder by his bed. So if he wake up in the middle of the night with a tune in his head, he record it so he never forget it. And so I basically do the same thing. So I get some stories through my dreams. Sometimes I'm just walking around and I come up with something. So my phone is my life. So if I get something in my head, I'm typing a note in my phone. If I wake up with an idea, I'm typing it into my phone. So on my computer, there is a lot of synopsis for books down the road sitting on my computer. So like I said, I got 23 published right now, but I probably got another 23 sitting on my computer with synopsis just sitting there. I can just if I want to write something and I don't really have something on my heart to write right now, I can just go to my computer and say, okay, let me look at these pick one and start writing.
That's great.
That's how these were birthed. They were already sitting there in pieces, and then I just went ahead and finished them off. But the two that came after Standing Firm, which was Saved and Secrets, they were series. They were birthed off of Standing Firm, because with Standing Firm, I had so many people say, well, how does a person become an abuser? So I got that question so many times, I went back and did Secrets. So Secrets was actually the prequels of Standing Firm. So we went back and seen how the man who was the abuser in Standing Firm, how he was raised and how he became the abuser that he was in Standing Firm. And then Saved took the character that everyone loved to hate, LaJuan Craig, in Standing Firm. We took her and made a story off of her and called it Saved. So those two came off of there. So came off of Standing Firm. And then the book before Standing Firm was 27 Hours. So that turned out to be a series as well, because Weight Loss and Warlord came from 27 Hours. So,
and I want to say 27 Hours. I want to say that one on your website is out of stock too. Like the man's book goes fast, you guys. Like you gotta get it while you can. They might be gone.
It shouldn't be out of stock though. If that's the case, it should be. That's a mistake, because it should not be out of stock. So.
Okay, I'll double check, but I'm just saying, you guys, you gotta get the books while the getting is good, because you have missed out if you don't. We're gonna take a quick break, real quick, and I just want to show a trailer from one of your books, so that people can better just kind of visualize what it is that you have. So you guys stick around, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back and enjoy this clip. All right, everybody, welcome back. Thank you for joining in. I hope you guys are hearing, liking what you're hearing, because that it takes a lot. If you have been interested in writing books, or you are writing books, you know that it takes a lot into conceptualizing and pulling it together. Even the comment that Gerald has said about Prince, he kept a recorder by his bedside. I keep one by my bedside for music, because I'll dream music and I'll wake up and I'll have to hum it and sing lyrics and stuff, because once I go back to sleep and wake back up, I may have no clue what the song was even about. So it's like I have to have something beside me at all times, so I can put my ideas in. So to know that you have all these books backlogs it's absolutely phenomenal, because it takes a lot. He's one man. Even though he has a team, he's still one man, and that is a lot to do. So you kind of touched on the backstory of some of the books from Standing Firm, and how it just kind of tells some of the stories. You do have one book though that I thought was interesting. I think it's called Weight Loss 666.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about that book.
Yeah, Weight Loss is the sequel, the sequel to 27 Hours. So it's kind of hard to talk about without giving it away. but with 27 Hours, you go through the story, and with 27 Hours, it's basically talking about the last 27 hours before the world was to end. So it was an asteroid on the way, and it was supposed to hit Earth and destroy Earth. And they had 27 hours left to live. So the government basically gave them carte blanche to do anything they wanted to do except rape and murder. So you could do anything else you wanted to do. So Weight Loss picks up basically in the 28th hour, the aftermath of all of that. And what comes out of that is a chip. I mean, Stacy is the main character, and she's always had a problem with her weight, and she wants to lose weight, and she tries to go to the gym, and she hates working out, she hates dieting. Of course, a lot of people are like that, and so they have this chip available on the market now. So you get this chip implanted in your forehead, and it regulates your appetite and your body, and control. And, the next thing you know, you're losing all this weight so fast. And so she has one friend that's telling her, no, you need to work out. Another friend that's telling her, hey, get the chip. I got the chip. Look at me. I'm losing all this weight. So she tries to work out. Then she's like, I'm giving this up. I'm getting the chip. And so she gets the chip, and it starts working for her. She starts losing weight. But what also happens is
don't tell anymore. Don't tell anymore. Look, I'm doing this on purpose. Look, you guys, if y'all want to know what happens to this young lady, get the book.
Yeah.
Just get the book. Like he set it up. Is intriguing. Get the first book first. The 24/7. Is it 24/7?
7 hours.
27 hours. Because it's like, what would you do if you knew you only had 27 hours left?
Right.
Then it goes into weight loss 666, you guys. So go backwards to go forward, because this is a great story. Like, and what I love about it is that it's so relatable. Like all of his books that you read, there's so many parallels that you can take from different parts from your own life. Even when it comes to the misconception, the fatal misconception. I think I've met a lot of different people to whereas very seldom do I meet someone who has either not met anyone who has been a part of domestic violence or spoken to someone. It's like that seems to be a very prevalent thing that we see, and it happens more often than not. And in fact, in the year 2020, not just domestic violence, but even child abuse was completely on the rise in the year 2020 because so many people were locked inside, tensions rising. There was no place to go. Like we were all locked up. There was no place to go. So those numbers hit an astronomical numbers on the scale of so many more people and more people dying from domestic violence. So as you kind of look at these books and you see these stories, I think there will be something in these books for everybody that you can identify with, including going back and reading the story and setting up on how someone becomes an abuser. I'm grateful that you did that because that is a big question that a lot of people ask is, well, what happened? And to go back and touch on that and then bring people forward on that. Absolutely great. Now, when I met you, we met at a domestic violence conference.
Right.
Kind of like a conference. So I forgot what it was that she had. And I met a lot of different people during that as well, including there was a guy there who was giving his testimony about being in a domestic violence relationship himself. And I remember him talking about a lot of times when it comes to men being in domestic violence, the issue is either people, one, don't believe him because he's a male, or number two, they're kind of consider, oh, well, where you're soft. Like, how could you let a woman beat up on you? Or there's a lot of ridicule that goes along with that. It's like a double standard.
Right.
How do you have a book that addresses the male side, or is there something that is coming forth that addresses the male side of domestic violence?
No, I don't have a book that addresses the male side, but yes, I did talk to several people, and then that issue came up. So the numbers for males are out there. I think it's like 1 in 7, but I don't think that number is accurate. Because it may be 1 in 7 that have reported, but there's probably a ton more that have not reported. And for the reason you said, because you don't want to seem like you're soft, when you go and report that your wife is abusing you in some manner. You know, it's that stigma with men that, you're so soft, and so why are you letting this woman do this to you? So the male numbers are far underreported than what it truly is. You know, so 1 in 7 is probably more like 1 in 4. You know, and that's actual if you could actually get that number. So there's probably a
I'd
lot.
be inclined to believe that. Yeah, yeah, because it's a rough position. It's a rough position to be in. So, in your book writing, how do you do? What is like one of the main things you do to gather your research? Um, are there different people that you interview, or the different sites that you kind of go through? Like, how do you get the meat of your books?
Hmm. Well, it depends on the book. So,
Right.
like with domestic violence, there was an incident that occurred when I was about 8 years old.
Mm.
I was living in what they call Belmont Heights. It was a community in Tampa, Florida. And
Mhm.
so I was standing at the screen door when my neighbors who lived right next to us, they were out on the sidewalk. There was a sidewalk that went down the middle of the apartments. And so they were standing out there and they were arguing back and forth, and he hit the woman and knocked her to the ground. It made such a sound in my ear, my little 8-year-old ears, but it imprinted in my mind. So domestic violence was there for me from that point. It started right there, and so it was always imprinted in my mind. So when I got to Standing Firm, I started writing this book, and a lot of my research came from that incident and some others that people had told me about prior to writing the book, and then the research on the actual numbers online and things of that nature. Is there's websites dedicated to organizations that bring awareness to domestic violence. So I did a lot of research on those. So I have a book that's going to be coming out next year. It's a science fiction book that's based
Okay.
on time travel. That was some
Okay.
research. That
All
was
right. Hey, let's
research.
get it.
It was a real challenging research because you had this story in your mind, and you want to tell it, and it has
Mhm.
to be time travel, but you kind of want it to fit within the realm of believability, if that's a word, with time travel.
Yeah.
So fitting
Yeah.
that all in was I had to kind of really pull my creative juices to make it all work. But I think people will enjoy the story though when they read it. So the initial feedback I got was people really enjoyed the story, and if you read some of my novels, you're going to come to realize that I always have a twist. So every book that you read, there's
Absolutely.
a twist somewhere in that story. And I get a lot of people always say, I didn't see that coming, and that's what I want. I want you to not see it coming. So, because I think that entertains people, but at the same time, I like something you said earlier. I like to educate people,
Mhm.
so you're trapped in this entertainment. You find yourself being entertained, but at the end of it, you realize you learned something. So I hope you learned something from every book that I put out there, because I'm trying to also show something. But
So what was the biggest message that you wanted to portray in the book, Ride Along?
the ride along, that
Mhm.
the strength of a woman,
Okay.
because women, Black women for sure have gone through so much in life, and I wanted to conceptualize this woman as she went through her experience in the ride along, being accused of a crime that she didn't commit, and having to struggle and prove her innocence and stay alive, that she had the strength to be able to do this. So basically what I wanted to show was she's just an example of the many Black women that I have seen in my life that were so
Mm.
strong and able to keep pushing. So that's the message I wanted to get across in that story, was the strength of a Black woman.
Wow.
And that's
Yeah.
what I dedicated that book to as well.
Yeah. Great. Look, again, great read. I've read it. As a matter of fact, my next book to read before I get to Fatal Misconception, because I'm trying to like read them as I get them, is and I dropped it. Is this book right here?
Twins.
Tell us
Yeah.
a little bit about this little goodie.
Yeah, Twins. the twins was just, I always had this, some of these stories just come to me, so I always had this story in here about twins. And twins is about a lawyer. Her name is Layla, and she has a twin sister, Kayla. So Layla wins her first case as a lawyer, but then she comes back and they are saying that she tampered with witnesses in the case, and she knows she didn't do this. But she's thinking her twin sister did it, but she can't tell anybody that because she doesn't want to get her twin sister in trouble. So eventually some more crimes are committed, and she knows that it's Kayla's doing it, but she can't tell anybody that Kayla's doing it because she doesn't want to get Kayla in trouble. And she believes Kayla's trying to look out for her. So anybody that does Layla wrong, Kayla handles it.
Yeah.
So as the story goes,
it's like it's the struggle of the bond the family has, but it's almost like how close is too close. How much that you go for family, like the lengths that you will go to protect the ones that you love, and the aspect of knowing right and wrong.
Yeah.
Because when you're in the judicial system, like there is a certain code of ethics that you have that you're supposed to live by, but then you have the family, and it's like family's blood is thicker than water, right? So what are the lengths that you will go to protect that family?
Right.
And I think the amazing part about it is twins. Is the fact that they're twins, and just the intricate storyline that it gets into.
Yeah.
So again, you just have so many ideas and so many books. I'm like, oh wow, like you're not gonna get bored, you guys. Like just you have different things to choose from. And just pick one. Just pick one. So, in that being said, do you have any audiobooks for any of the books that you've created?
Yeah, I made a couple of audiobooks for
Okay.
one is The Ride Along, and the
Hmm.
other is The Lawyer that
Okay.
are on audio. Was it audio book? I can't remember the name.
Hmm.
Audible. So Audible, yeah.
Audiobooks. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are out there. Those are harder to make because you really need a good narrator to do them, and so
Yeah.
I have to admit that I'm not particularly proud of them,
Okay.
of the narration. I'm proud of course, the writing of it, but the narration is, I'm really not sure I like the narration. So,
Yeah. And you're right, because it takes that right voice to draw people into the storyline.
right,
And the person that, even as they're reading, has to take on the character
right,
and then know how to even fluctuate between the male voice and the woman voice or the elderly voice. And it really does take a talented storyteller.
right.
So, and that being said, do you have a way to whereas maybe that's something that someone does and they would like to partner with you on that? Is that something that you would consider?
I would consider that. Yep. Yep.
Okay, so tell people how that they can connect with you if that is something where they can send a sample of their work to you
Mhm.
to take a listen to see if it'll be a good fit for any of your upcoming books.
Yeah. Well, all of my social media and contacts and everything is on Linktree. I don't know if you're familiar with Linktree. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, so it's Linktree and .com, and it's Gerald C Anderson Sr. Senior. So I made it real simple so people can just go to that one place, and you got all the links that you need to get to be able to reach me. So, so all of my
Yes,
links
and
are in one spot.
and I asked that question because that's one thing that I'm very, very that I do love about what it is that you do, which is that you're very community oriented. Like
Mhm.
you go within our community and our culture to help to raise other people up. To whereas it's not necessarily about, yeah, we have to get the top dollar person because we know that person is going to draw in the bigger crowd. And we have like, since I've met you, that's one of the things you have been consistent about is helping the community to grow. from reaching from within in order to reach to help the person to come up, to reach up to their best potential. So
Mm.
just kudos for you for doing that, and staying grounded.
Yeah,
So me personally, I want to say thank you for doing that.
yeah, and that comes, that comes from just a person that's the person I've been all my life, really. But also when I first started writing, I'm not going to mention the person's name, but I reached out to celebrity people, and one of my books that I sent was sent back to me unopened,
Mm.
like refused, and this is a
Oh
person
wow.
that's out there telling people, yeah, I help people all the time, and big celebrity. I help people all the time, but you never even opened the envelope to see what it was that you were being sent. So, and I told myself, I said, I'm not going to be that guy. So I set up, but I also had to set up things in place. So like if people wanted to, know about the business of writing books, because a lot of new writers don't understand it's a business. It's not just you write your book and that's it. Hands off, I'm done, I go away. No, it's a
Yeah.
business. But and I was giving a lot of my time, so I had to set up a price for that. I had to set up a price to start charging people for that, because so it was taking away from my ability to produce my magazine, my books and stuff like that. So I had to do something like that. But there are a lot of times, like you say, that I'm out there and I try to help people, because there's little advice you can give people to guide them in the right direction. Like
Yeah.
read your contract. You definitely need to read a contract. Don't do
Amen. Read the fine print, please, y'all.
the fine
Read
print.
the fine print. Yes.
So
Yes.
whenever I'm out at events and stuff and people are talking to me, I try to make sure if I got anything to tell them, that's the number one thing I'm going to tell them. Read your contract.
Hmm.
If whoever you decide to publish with, read your contract. So, like one of the other things I do that was like publishing, where we publish all other authors. So I had so many people coming to me about publishings
Hmm.
and the problem I had with that first book. So I used that as a motivation to start my own publishing company. So we publish other authors now. So they don't get caught up in that situation where the publisher is getting 80% of the royalties. Instead, they get
Yeah.
100% of their own royalties. So after we publish the book, they get 100% of their royalties, and that's
Mm.
it for life.
All right, guys. Like you're hearing this firsthand. So if someone wanted to, well, let me ask you first if that's something that you do. But if someone wanted to book you to come do an authors conference, is that something that you do right now?
I would do it. Yeah.
Okay, because I asked that because I know like you have so much going on. It's like, can you even fit that in on your schedule with everything that you have going?
Yeah.
But again, ladies and gentlemen, he is someone who doesn't mind sharing his information.
Mhm.
And for new authors, and this is something that's very important, is that sometimes as new authors, it is hard to find a relatable person that will really give you the information. And I'm specifying that because I myself have been to several writers conferences just trying to get information, and everything has been so, for lack of a better word, broad. Like they'll give you these broad answers without actually answering the answers,
Mhm.
um, to kind of keep you coming back. But even the times that I've talked to you, you were straightforward. I knew, I understood what it was that you were saying. And then wherever I needed to do my research, I was like, okay, now I know how to do my research. And it was just, you broke it down in a way that I'm truly thankful for. So, you guys, if you have a group of people or you have a community that would like to get in contact with Gerald to have him to come do an authors conference, please reach out to him. Reach out to him, and you guys go over the specifics and book him to come speak at your next event. The knowledge that this man has, you will not be disappointed at all. You will not be disappointed. And again, if you're interested and you have that gift of storytelling, because it truly is an art,
Yeah.
please reach out to him. You know, this is something that can help to bring our communities together, is bringing our talents together so that we can all gain from that. Um, so back to your book. Tell you what, we're going to take one last break, and I want you to get into the book Fatal Misconception, because that right now is your latest book that you have out. And
Okay.
I want you to talk a little bit more in depth about that. And yeah, we're gonna show a little trailer, and if you guys just sit tight, we'll be right back. All right, guys, welcome back. Welcome back. First of all, I'll be the first one to say if I need to be corrected, I need to be corrected. Sometimes when I'm speaking, I will stumble over my words. It's fatal misconception. So
Mis,
yeah,
misperception.
misperception.
There you go.
See, again, fatal misperception. Like,
Right.
I don't know what it is about sometimes with words, I'll just mix them up. Completely my fault. I apologize. So that is your latest book that you have out, and what I love about that is that you had did a promotion to where it's during the month of October that if someone bought the book, then 50% of the proceeds went back into an organization. Just out of curiosity, what organization did you find or have you found to donate the 50% of those that the proceeds?
Well, I always give to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence. So
Okay.
it's at a national level, and then I'm giving so I give half to them, and then half to the local domestic violence organization here in Maryland. So I'm kind of dividing up between the two. So we get a national gets some, and the local gets some here. So, and then I run after October, it's always going to be 10% from the sale will go to, again, those same two organizations. But there are times when, like when I go down to Tampa and I have a book signing event or something like that down there,
Hmm.
an organization in Tampa will get that money. So, or if there's
And
any other
again,
that I end up going
that
to.
goes back to what I was saying. It's like one of the things I love about you is that you constantly are trying to give back to the community. Is not like, okay, well, just forget the community. You know, I'm doing me. I'm doing what I'm doing. You guys just struggle, but you put your heart um, where your mind or your finances are and giving back to the community. And I really do appreciate that,
Mhm.
because again, domestic violence is something that people some people think it just looks one way, like it's just the overbearing narcissism of violence and control. But there are some forms of domestic violence that people don't see because it doesn't necessarily look like they like people think it does. Like the right out explosive punching and screaming. Sometimes there's an undertone of control, even
Mhm.
in public, that there are certain gestures and stuff that people would do that unless you're keen to them, you won't really pick up on. Okay, behind the scenes, there's more that's going on. So tell us a little bit about this book. Now, was that even more of a spin-off from the book Standing Firm, or is this book completely, totally different, telling from a different perspective, a different person? Tell us a little bit about that one.
Well, it's totally different, and here's the book section. So it's totally different from Standing Firm. It had nothing at all to do with Standing Firm. And remember the story I told you about being at the projects and looking out and saw the man. So it kind of spawns off of that, because the book starts when Kelly, who's the main character, she's a little 5-year-old girl, and unfortunately she witnesses her father killing her mother. So that, of course, imprints on her, and then she's raised by her grandmother and sheltered drastically by her grandmother. Grandmother wouldn't let her go anywhere. So once she graduates high school, though, she starts to go out and she meets a guy. And there are red flags that are popping up all over. And and this is the thing that I wanted people to see. You can be in a relationship, or you can be on the premises of a relationship, see the red flags and go right past them. Because you can actually forgive the person. You just think it's just an isolated incident or whatever the case may be, but the red flag was there, it was waving, you saw it, and you just forgave and kept going. And so that's what happens to our main character here, is Kelly.
And I just want to kind of say this about that, is that, and not to like completely switch gears, but that's one thing that when the Bible says to guard your heart with all diligence, there's so many things that comes from that, because once your heart is involved, there are a lot of things that it gets really hard to separate. It gets really hard to come out of situations once your heart is involved. So I just want to throw that out there. And if there is anyone who may be watching this, yes, we're talking about books, but maybe you're going through domestic violence, or someone who is. Maybe, who knows if these books may be something that you could gift that person to where they can read, without putting them in danger. But maybe it's something that they could read that could give them some information on where they can go to get help, or maybe it even challenges their thinking, because sometimes even being in those situations, whether it's male or female, you have problems processing it while you're in it. Sometimes it takes seeing it from an outside perspective in order to see it or read it and say, you know what, that's me. Like, I'm reading this, but that's me. Then what do I do? So if that is you, and maybe you haven't read the book, but you need to, then I'm strongly going to encourage you to do that. Buy it for a friend. If it's maybe not something that you would want to read yourself, then I would encourage you to buy it for a friend, that maybe it would help them. And not only that, again, the 10% will go back into an organization. So you're going to be helping on so many levels with this book. Buy several, have a book club with it. Maybe this is something that you need to have meetings, like where you have certain women that you are speaking to or ministering to, and that this book may help them out of their situation. Then again, I would definitely suggest for you to get this book. Would you consider turning this book into an audiobook?
I would, but this time I would definitely take it to. So I would definitely vet the person who's gonna do the narration, because when I went back and listened to it, it's just the voices that she chose don't fit the people in my book. So I want those voices to really fit the people in the book. So that's something I would definitely be looking for. But before we forget, I wanted to give the 800 number for domestic violence in case someone is
Please
going through
do.
violence. So you want to dial 800 799 7233. And now this was different from 2015 when I was on this platform. Is now they have an SMS number, so you can text that you need help, and that number is 88788. So if you text that you need help to that number 88788, someone will get back to you. So that's also a new thing that they've started doing to help people.
So needed. Thank you for that. Before we start to wrap up, I have two more things I want to touch on. You have something that is new on your website, and it's called Creative Inspirations. Tell
Yeah.
us a little about that.
Yeah, remember when I said I had all these stories sitting on my computer and the
Yes,
synopsis of the
yes.
story? So I had so many of them. I said, you know what? The only way I'm going to be able to get these out is I can't really make them into novels. So how about we put together a series of short stories? And it turned out to be 19 short stories.
Mm,
And that's what I went to put these short stories together and put them out there in this one book. So that let me put 19 stories out there all in one book, and I have a book of short stories. And I tried to choose the ones that would definitely be inspirational and motivational and do what I always want my books to do, is to educate and entertain. So I think there's some good gems in there. If people read that, I think they really like those. And one of the other things I learned when I was out pushing the ride along, and the ride along and Twins book basically came out about the same time, or at the same time. But when I was at events, people gravitated to the smaller book, the
okay,
ride. So that's what
okay.
made me, hey, well, why don't I put together this book of short stories? Because it's a bunch of shorter stories, and because people seem to like that. We have that microwave mentality in this day and age, so people want to read stuff
Unfortunately,
quickly and move on.
yeah.
They want so this is 19 opportunities to read something quick, get a good read quickly, and then you can move on to the next short story.
Last but not least, what's next? Like, do you have any more movies planned? Do you have like a way to whereas if you have videographers and directors, if they want to connect with you and maybe partner with you on the next movie, is there a way to do that? But what's coming next from Mr. Gerald Sr.?
Well, we got two books that are completed that are just being beta read right now.
Okay.
So those two are, the one is called the science fiction one I was saying about actions
Mm-hmm.
have consequences, and then we have one that's called Love and Lust. This
Mm.
is a new realm for me. It's about a romance realm, but it's also educating.
Okay.
So that's why it's called Love and Lust. So you can see where I'm going with that.
Yes. Yes.
And so also one thing that's picking up a little bit of steam is my book called The Room.
Mm-hmm.
That is based on five people. They wake up in this room and they find them that they all connect with one of the people in the room. One person in the room has something to do with all four of the other people in the room. And so that book was, people really, and the book was based on forgiveness, basically. So
Okay.
people really like that book. So what I'm trying to do is either take that particular story and bring it to a play, or or rewrite it a different version of that story and make it into a play. So one way or another, The Room is hopefully will be in a play form and within the next couple of years.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Gerald, thank you so much for this interview. Again, I know it's been a long time in the making, but I really appreciate everything that you've done for others and for myself personally. Um, you guys, I have all his information there for you on his for his website, his link tree, like phenomenal person, plenty of different books to choose from. So if you don't like one particular story, and it's just not your niche, that's fine. there are other books to choose from. Like you're not put in a box in any way, shape, or form. Like
Mhm.
he has it there for you. So thank you so much for joining me. It has been an absolute pleasure, and I look forward to each and every project that you have coming from the future, whether it's magazine, whether it's you speaking, whether it's books, whether it's movies. I look forward to everything that God is doing in and through you. I really do. So thank you.
Thank you.